Hey guys, welcome to Otter Creek Garage. I'm Luke. Behind me here I have one of my pull tractors, my modified garden tractor. The season's over now. Just ended the other day, and I noticed this cheap Amazon plastic fuel tank that I put on there is leaking fuel everywhere. So the first thing I got to do to this is I have an aluminum tank I'm going to put on there. Need to modify it slightly. It's been leaking out the bottom. Look what it's done to the tire wraps. And right there, you can see that. I don't know if you can see it in the lighting. Look what it's done to the fuel hose. It's peeled it all apart. Now that was some cheap Amazon hose I bought too. So, that's the name of the game here sometimes with Amazon. Sometimes you get lucky and you get something decent, and sometimes you don't. This time I didn't. I don't really like the look of this fuel tank anyway. It's discolored now from the sun, and I mean, it is handy because you can see how much fuel's in it all the time, but we're going to change that out and put something a little more shiny on there. But before I do that, I need to clean the shop because, as you can imagine, during the pull season, you're pretty busy and you don't have a lot of time for cleanup. But we are going to clean up right now real quick before we get started. So let's get out of here. All right, so now that we get the work area cleaned up somewhat, I'm gonna remove this guard and inspect this fuel line. At least that piece there needs to be replaced for sure. That's obviously poor quality fuel line. And as I said before, sometimes with Amazon you get lucky and you get decent quality, and other times you don't. It's a gamble. And this sort of happened to me in the middle of the season, so I didn't do anything about it because I didn't have time. And I didn't want to rush making my other fuel tank. So we'll do it now. It doesn't appear that that's too bad. It just appears that the outside got eaten. That's very strange. The other piece looks all right. So, there she's all bubbled there from it dripping down on it. There, doesn't appear to be too bad. I don't know, maybe that's a different, that one says made in the USA, so maybe that's why it's okay and this one's not. That would stand to reason. Okay, well, let's get this fuel tank off then. And no fuel in it anyway, it's all leaked out all over the place. So we'll just cut it off because we don't care about it. That's going to be replaced. Well, that barb's longer than I thought. These tire wraps I had on here just for safety, because this does a lot of bouncing around, as you can imagine. I didn't like the way they just give you this little bracket here that it slips up into these grooves on the plastic. Seemed kind of crappy to me. I didn't think that would work very well. figured for sure it was going to end up falling off. So that's why I did that. So we're going to go ahead and replace that. Maybe that tank would be good for something. Oh, I see. Maybe that bulkhead just came loose, but in any event, that's a piece of crap. I don't like it. It's got discolored from the sun. It doesn't look very nice. We're going to ditch that. Maybe I'll keep it, maybe I'll throw it out, I don't know yet. Now here's the fuel tank I'm going to use. I had made this myself for another pull tractor, and I was real happy with it. I was pretty proud of it. It worked good. However, it was a little too big for where I wanted to put it. It didn't work out in that machine. So what I think I'm going to do, that's a bit bigger than what I want there. So I think what we're going to do there is cut it. Right, maybe right here or something. And then cap the end again. Because our lid's already done, already bolted on. And our fitting's already welded in there, so it will save me having to do that. I think if I just cut it right there and recap it, I could mount it right there, sort of where it was, and and leave it like that. Take that 90 out of there and just have that come straight down like we did before, and that should work. So that's how we're going to handle that, I believe. I guess before we cut this, we should make sure there's no fuel. So let's make sure there's no fuel in this thing before there shouldn't be. It's been sitting up in there for a long time. Anything that's in there should have evaporated by now, I would think. Yeah, it looks bone dry. Okay. So I think the best thing to do would be to mark it. Mark the square. Mark the square along here. Cut as straight as possible. It's over there. And then we'll zip up. Okay. So we're going to leave a little bit of space there. Right there. And right here. Now this part is real nice on your square because the well's staying there, so I'm gonna just invest just like a little bit more tells a little bit there how they go. And that should do it. I could plasma cut it, but I think we'll cut it with a zip cut, just so I get it fairly straight. Or I'll try to get it fairly straight. I have one of these Walter zip cuts. Supposed to be 4 aluminum. I have tried them before and they do work fairly well. Normally I would just use a regular steel one, but a fellow gave me a handful of these to try them out, and they work pretty good. So that's what we're going to use on this. I would imagine they're fairly pricey. The Walter zip cuts are, they don't give them away, that's for sure. However, as far as I'm concerned, they are the best zip cut out there. You really don't want to be cheaping out when you're buying zip cuts, or grinding wheels for that matter, because some of the crappier ones I've used, they blow apart, you end up wearing them. You don't want that. I've always stuck with the Walter ones, even though they're a bit more money. Now, well, we got the doors up, and I'll have to go find these. Should have junk in my container, keep all the material, do all that, and And so, well, all right, so we're going to the birds, we'll get a bullet, no money left over. Moving our fuel. I think I use 5 for that. Get corners. Should we go up? I'm trying to bring it up. You're like that. No, no, no. Come on here. No. Come on here. Well, not too nice. We'll cut these off. 1, 2. These are these off. Sure, that's not your core done. That's alright. Don't get messed up when you don't have what you do. The best upside is I have over here. Get rid of it or content. Alright, I'll grab your hand. I don't want to anymore. Let's see. So, I did cut that a little bit. It's going to be a little bit there. I can sand it down slightly so that I get myself the proper joint I want. So that's what you'll be doing. More like that, get that penetration that way. We'll see how it's a fit when I finish buffing it up. Okay. So I think I'll do, because this rectangle is definitely not 99 degrees, no way. I'll go to that side close. So I could tack that together there, and then I can buff it down a little bit. That's probably not the ideal way to do it. Some of you guys are probably losing your minds right now, but that's how we're going to do this. Let's not forget, we're doing everything we do here, we do on a budget. Because if you spend too much money on it, spend too much money on fantastic tools and everything you need, kind of takes the fun out of it. So I think that's how we're going to go with that. So, put this out of the way and get our welder set up. Start welding. Okie dokie guys, we're ready to tack this together here. So, hopefully you're going to be able to see it and won't get in the way. Because I'm getting so blind in my old age, I got to stick my head pretty close to what I'm doing. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. I really should have, because this is enclosed, I should have purged gas inside to protect the inside of the weld. And you're right, I should. I don't have the second argon bottle to do that with. And for what I'm doing, it's not going to be a big problem. Just a low pressure gravity feed gas tank. If this was something more critical, then yes, I would. Well, I'm going to put it on AC before we can get here. AC. Alright, here we go. Now, you don't want to have a huge gap if you can help it, it's hard to fill in. The better job you can do fitting this, the easier time you're going to have welding, of course. tacks on this side are trying to pull it up. So we're gonna have to hold it a bit. Do it, I think. Try. So now, all we want to do now is just kind of buff that down so it meets the other plate. Well, see, the cut wasn't terribly square, so it's going to give us a little trouble, but can overcome that. I think that'll work okay. Lay him down. Tack right there. Okay, that's looking pretty decent. Now I don't weld all the time, guys. I do weld a fair bit. I don't weld all the time, so believe me, there are a lot better welders out there than me. However, I've been doing it a long time, and I am pretty good at it. But I don't know that I'd be welding on somebody's show truck or whatever. Alright, let's get another tack here in the middle. Let them open up on us. You don't want to start welding that way and have it start to spread open, because sometimes that can happen to you and that can kind of fuck you. So, I find with aluminum, I don't weld aluminum a lot, but aluminum is a very weldable material. A lot of guys struggle with it because they haven't had the proper training perhaps, or they didn't prep the material properly, or whatever have you. I find, for me, I gotta be in good humor when I start welding aluminum. It starts to go sour on you, you best off to leave it. Go back to it later when you're feeling a little better. Go have a cup of coffee or something. Settle yourself down. make sure you weld the top back so that you only have the pipe hole. That's where we just swap it back. So you can small task, weld top up, I'm not saying that. I'm not doing it. I came from the industry, I came from manufacturing. That's me, kind of manufacturing. So, in manufacturing, they don't really interested in taking time when there's one done now, so nice and if you're taking up, you ship on that hole, I take my time to go back and rush through it. Just have to do issue. Get there. So, difficult change mindset, let's set. That's not looking too bad. I'm not doing too bad for an old boy here. No, that's how we're looking so far. I'm fairly impressed with not having done this for probably 6 months. So I got that all welded up. I welded that up off camera just so I didn't bore you with all that welding because it takes time. But turned out pretty good. I'm happy with it. Turned out as good as the rest of it did anyways. I went ahead and tacked a piece of angle iron on the back so that I could mount it to my original bracket. It had the cheap flimsy one on there for that plastic tank, so I think we'll pick up those 2 holes, try and sort of square it up as best as I can and mount it like that. It's high enough that it won't interfere with the gas pedal, and I can drop my fitting down right above where it was before, and I'm good to go. So I think we'll go ahead and weld up that angle iron on there, and then see if we can't pick up those 2 holes and drill a couple holes in there. Alright guys, she's all welded up. I got the piece of angle iron welded on the back to mount on the original hole. So I'll bring you in here for a closer look. So I welded a piece of angle iron onto the tank from the back side. Mounted it to that original piece of flat bar that's in there that the old bracket was on. And now, the problem is, if I put that straight down like that, the hose is going to interfere with my throttle, or at least I think it might. So I think I'm going to put the 90 back on and just kind of kick it over that way, and then that will probably work better. T-tape on the threads here so they don't leak on us. And I always like to, the plumber showed me this one time, wrap the tape on, take the edge and run it in the thread and seat the tape. Just go all the way around like that and seat the tape in like that. I've been doing that for 30 years and that works fantastic. That way it doesn't peel the tape off on you when you thread it in. If you unravel that afterwards, you can actually still see the T-tape down in the root of the thread, and that's where it needs to be to do the sealing. Well, there's a little trick I learned a long time ago, and I've been using it ever since, and it works real good. So we'll get that on there. Gonna cooperate real good, but we'll have to make do here. Whoa. One more time around should do it. Somewhere in there, I think, is where it's got to be. Then we'll do the same with this thread here. It didn't disturb the other one with the hose barb on it, so it'll be fine. Just put a wrap on there. And then we'll seat it. That sucker in. Come on, get in there. Oh. turned it the right way. As long as I've been doing this, I gotta remind myself every time just about, especially when I'm facing backwards, which bloody way I'm turning it. I think leave the shut off knob on the back side just so that it doesn't get hit by mistake. Now we'll replace this piece of crappy hose. Okie dokie guys, so I got some fuel in there. I've got it turned on. I don't see anything leaking right now. Now normally, stupid me, normally I would have, after building a tank like that or something that needs to be sealed, I would have filled it up with water or left it sitting on a pig mat or something, just to make sure that I got it all welded up good and it didn't leak. In my haste, I didn't do that. I actually just had some visitors here, so it kind of messed up my routine, but that's okay. I'm confident that it's sealed. Anyway, we'll find out soon enough. So now, we can turn on our hear the fuel pump charging up there. Now we can fire this up. I'm not going to run for too long because it's pretty loud in here. Just get ready, this thing's loud. Alright guys, I'm going to call this done. I don't see any leaks. She runs, as you can see, and we are ready to move on to the next project. So, do me a favor, if you enjoyed the video, if it was helpful, smash the like button down below. It really helps out the channel. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe. It only takes a second and it doesn't cost you a dime. But for now, we're gonna put this one away and we're gonna move on. Talk to you soon.